So excited. Today, my very first guest is Bridgett Artise of Born Again Vintage. Bridgett is a sustainable fashion guru who is so multi-talented it's mind-boggling. Just like her clothes, this woman reinvents, reuses, and recycles her skills in new and beautiful ways as the designer of Born Again Vintage, and has been described as a vintage expert by the New York Times. Bridgett Artise believes in second chances, a philosophy that extends all the way to her clothing line, Born Again Vintage. Fashion has given her a second chance at happiness and success, and in turn, she gives vintage garments that have lost their luster another chance at being fashionable. Mixing contemporary clothing with the best elements of a vintage piece, like the collar of a funky 50s house dress, or the pockets of a 70s style jacket, and piecing them back together in a whole new way. She creates one-of-a-kind garments that are both trend-setting and timeless. Born Again Vintage is a brand dedicated to making sustainable fashion as common as fast fashion. Through consultations, workshops, classes, and custom orders, Born Again Vintage is bringing sustainability to the forefront of fashion and keeping as many garments as possible out of the landfill. Amen. Bridgett is the author of the sustainable fashion book available at bookstores everywhere, Born Again Vintage, 25 Ways to Deconstruct, Reinvent, and Recycle Your Wardrobe. She's also a sustainability mentor, YouTube instructor, and a professor at the Fashion Institute of Technology, my alma mater. Welcome to the show, Bridgett. I'm so thrilled to have you as my very first guest.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be your first.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited.
Yes, this is exciting. So let's start from the beginning, because I met you maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, it's crazy. On LinkedIn. Which is really funny because I do pride myself on having a really good memory, but to the extent that I remember the night that me and you were emailing, the night that I found you on LinkedIn.
Wow.
You popped up as one of those people I might know.
Right.
I didn't know you, of course. And
but we should have known each other.
I know, and that was the funny thing. That's why when I clicked on your profile and I'm like reading all your accolades, I'm like, how do we not know each other?
But more importantly, we had so many
commonalities, and that's what made me slide in your DM. Before they were even saying slide in your DMs. Yeah, throughout the years, it's been an amazing friendship that I'm really grateful for. So yes, we did a pop-up shop in Brooklyn, in Dumbo, Brooklyn.
Yep.
We did a rooftop fashion show on the rooftop of, what was that, Empire Hotel. Yes, which was crazy dope. I co-founded a conference for creative women, DIY Makers Con. You came and you were on the panel.
That's right.
And you were one of the instructors.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, and now you have the boutique and you carry my work in there. So
that's what collaboration is all about.
Exactly. And speaking of stuff, so I want to talk about your origin, obviously, but it's really interesting that you said collaborating, because I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like in our age group, collaborating isn't as common. At least that's been my experience, that trying to forge relationships with other creatives in my age group has, in the beginning, been very like hush hush. I don't want you to see what I'm doing, and or very cliquish. Whereas trying to forge new relationships has always been like you have to go through the gatekeeper of that particular clique and not feel like authentic. Relationships where me and you didn't have that. It was like instantaneous. Yeah.
I gotta actually really think about that, because from what I remember, I want to say collaborating has been pretty easy for me.
Okay.
But easy in the sense that the right people, I was connected with the right people, and then things kind of organically flowed.
So I saw that we have both written books on the subject of design,
Right.
particularly fashion design. But you had written a book on something that was, at the time, very new.
Yeah.
Sustainability, eco-fashion.
That's right.
Which, funny, now if a brand launches and it's not a green brand or has some type of eco consciousness,
Right.
then it's frowned upon.
That's right.
But when you started, you were forging ahead in like brand new territory.
Yeah, actually, that book was published, I think we had like 2 words, and it was eco-friendly and green.
Mm.
So you fast forward to now, and it's like
Oh, it's a whole vocabulary.
billion
Yes.
different versions of being sustainable.
That's so true.
Kind of how organic had its little peak, and everything was organic.
Yeah, you have to have that $400 organic T-shirt. Like, why?
Right.
We want it to be eco-friendly, but really, does it have to break my pocket?
So so it's kind of cool that I kind of got in
At the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is pretty much not my saving grace, but having that book published so early in my career, it kind of put me on the map as some type of pioneer.
Yeah.
Even though we all been reconstructed and we all been upcycling, on a down low, and not necessarily as a job.
Right.
So making it a viable business, I think, was more of a wow, than actually doing what I was doing. Because a lot of us kind of already was reconstructed and
Now let's talk about that, because I do feel that in our community,
right,
we have the tendency to give so much clout to designer this and designer that. I think a lot of that obviously comes from just a stigma of not having access to expensive things, coming from a place of lack, and then once you have a few coins to rub together, you don't want anything handmade, handcrafted, which I found really interesting as someone who has her own line of handcrafted leather goods. The word handcrafted turned on one community.
Right.
You know what I mean? One community was like, yes, that's what we're looking for, handcrafted, one of a kind. But my own community was just like, handcrafted.
Right.
I want to wear what everyone else is wearing. You know what I mean?
I want to have something that has a label on it so everybody knows.
Yes. Fashion for our community has kind of always been about A, fitting in, and B, having some type of level up, because you have a designer label on that, most people are priced out of. You know what I mean? I didn't hit record. I hit record on the camera, but I didn't hit record on.
Well, that's kind of good, because then we got a little flow.
Yes.
So now
oh my God. All right, so we're going to start over.
Okay.
Oh my God. I just want to kick myself in the head.
Well, I'm glad I'm your first.
Yes.
No pressure.
Thank you.
Whatsoever.
So, as you can see, I am back with the lovely Bridgett Artise, but we are not in Camden. Thanks to my technical difficulties, I had to trek up to East Orange to her boutique so that I can continue our conversation. And I'm glad to be here.
And I'm glad you came.
Thank you. Absolutely. So, at what point though, because you went to school for fashion merchandising?
Right.
Okay, so you started a career as a buyer?
Yep.
Okay.
I was an assistant buyer my first year there. I got a job. And it was just not a weird job, but it was a weird setup because the lady was the buyer for Steinmart.
Okay.
There's no Steinmart in New York.
Right.
And she recently got engaged to someone in New York, so they gave her an office building to still be a buyer, but be in New York with her new...
Even though there were no stores
right.
there. Interesting.
So I was her assistant for jewelry. So I had the assistant buyer at 21. Right after that, I got pregnant with my first child. So after graduation, I kind of, and actually no, I was a buyer at Bloomingdale's, a buyer allocator at Strawberries, a manager at Macy's. So I had all the retail jobs.
Got
Every retail job you could possibly have, I had it.
Got it.
You know, so and that helps with this because
Absolutely.
I know what buyers want. I know the whole process, the allocating why it goes to this store. So all of that stuff, you know, really helped me
Absolutely.
when it came to making my own product. But still, it was not something at all that I was planning or wanting to do.
To become a designer.
Yeah, at all.
So, I know that you were a stay-at-home mom when you launched your business. How long had you been at home just being a wife and mom?
I would say 95 is when I stopped working. Tyler was 2, and I didn't start the business until 2001.
Oh wow! So that was a nice,
a nice stint.
Yeah.
And even then, it was a hobby part-time. It wasn't
Got
even a job. It was just me cutting up for fun at home.
All right, so you're home, you're with your babies, and at what point did you start Born Again Vintage?
So, I lost my last child.
Your third baby.
My third child, that was 98.
Wow.
And, you know, there was that period of deciding. Actually, a big chunk of it was a blur. Like, that's how.
I can
you know.
imagine.
So
Yeah.
I don't remember, like, almost a year of that time. I don't remember 99 at all.
Wow.
But I know that there was this very distinct moment where I decided whether or not I was going to stay in that place
That funk, that morning.
or move forward and do something to kind of counteract it or, you know, get me out of it. And I actually thought about it because I was like, you know, I could just stay like this and, you know, nobody would say anything.
Right.
It was legitimate.
Right.
And, you know, be this grumpy, bitter, you know,
Depressed.
right.
Unhappy.
person.
Yeah.
And it was very easy to go that route.
Yeah.
You know, let me
Yeah,
tell you.
and no one would have blamed you.
And nobody would have blamed me. Or do something productive. And I do remember watching Oprah one particular day.
Okay.
And this lady on there, and I'm not sure what her story was, but I know she said, turning lemon, you know,
Into lemonade.
in lemonade.
Mm.
And it stuck with me, and I was thumbing through a Spiegel magazine. And
Oh my,
Spiegel,
do I?
oh
I've
my
ordered
God.
so much Spiegel
The
in my
best
time. It
stuff
was
ever.
the best stuff ever.
So I'm thumbing through it, and I order a mannequin and a sewing machine.
Wow.
And
that was
so-
the thing about Spiegel. You can not only get a dope
Right.
outfit,
It had
but you can
everything.
get like a sewing machine. You know what I mean? It had everything.
And it was just so random.
right.
Like, I didn't know what I was going to do with the mannequin. I didn't know what I was going to do with the sewing machine. But that's what I did. And it still sat. It came, it sat. And then I'm not even sure how the idea came up. But I said, well, you know what? Let me start putting together a talent show in the area for the kids needing help with scholarships.
Wow. And at this time, your kids were still really
Yeah.
small, so
So
it
there
wasn't
are-
necessarily for them.
Right, no, it was like 4 and 2,
Okay.
you know, so they were really young. And then, so, you know, I went through all of that to create the 501c3, which is hard.
Wow, that is hard.
And I did all of that on my own, got the 501c3 status, and then started putting on the fashion shows. And that immediately took me out of...
I was going to say, it takes over
Immediately.
your life. Yeah.
So I was focused, the kids were involved. I mean, it was awesome.
Wow.
And that second year, we had a different venue, which gave us an extra hour.
And this is in North Jersey,
Right.
in Bergen County.
Right.
Okay.
And so that second year, I had the extra hour. I was like, oh, let them put on a fashion show. That'll be cute. Go to the thrift shop for the very first time in my life.
Okay.
Went to the thrift
So you
shop.
had you didn't
never
grow
went
up
to-
thrifting.
No.
Okay.
I was 100% a label whore. I was the one.
Got it.
Gucci this and
Wow.
Louis that, Fendi, you know, that was me.
Yeah.
And so I go to the thrift store, I buy a bunch of stuff, come home, chop it up, dust off that sewing machine that had been sitting and start sewing.
Wow.
And at the end of the fashion show, people were coming up to me like, oh, where can I get this? And then I was like, there's something wrong with, you know, like,
You didn't see the value in it yet.
oh, no. it really, I was blown away because it was
Wow.
not something I was anticipating at all. And then the judge pulled me aside as well, and then she was like, "Oh, Bridgett, I didn't know you like vintage." I was
You're
like,
like,
"Yeah, I love vintage."
I love vintage.
What's vintage? So, so I had this draw to vintage, clearly. Everything I picked was vintage.
And just to distinguish the difference between something that's secondhand and vintage is how old it is. If
Right.
it's 20 years or
Right.
more,
That's
it's
right.
vintage.
That's right.
Mhm.
And so, with me, and I think you're kind of similar, I saw that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
I didn't even think twice.
Right.
And so I started looking up markets, where I could sell this stuff. Meanwhile, I had like 3 pieces.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I was like,
You're right.
where can I sell this? And I had a card table,
Okay.
spades, so the regular square card
Yes.
table,
Yes.
a pink sheet,
And that was it.
and my 3 pieces
Wow.
on the table, sitting up at the designer market on Bleecker.
You weren't playing.
No, on Mott.
Okay.
No, Mulberry.
So you're down.
I'm
You're,
just-
you're
yeah.
downtown.
I'm downtown with my 3 pieces and my card table, sitting behind my chair. Not selling anything. People look at me like I'm crazy. I think I went to the bathroom maybe 2 times to cry.
Aw.
Because I'm like, what am I doing? And
Right.
stopping. And it was like a 2-day thing. Saturday and Sunday I paid for. So
Got it.
Saturday I didn't sell it all. It was completely discouraging.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day I sold one of my pieces. And
It's like, that's all I
that was it. That was it. I was like, what?
Wow.
I took that cash
I know,
and
that's right.
never looked back.
Wow.
Never looked back.
Amazing. So was it a slow process? Did you just, okay, now I have 2 pieces, I'll add a few more? Or did you just say, you know what, I'm designing a full-blown collection tomorrow?
No, never went straight to that. I actually shifted to t-shirts
Okay.
because it was something I felt confident that I could do as far as the sewing aspect.
Okay.
So what I did was would buy blanks,
Blank t-shirt.
right, and then buy vintage t-shirts, cut them up, and then create all of these phrases.
That's amazing.
And then not hand sew, but machine sew each letter. It was,
Oh.
I didn't know better than, all the work. But,
Right.
so I would make, all these amazing, like, real cute sayings. And so then I start having, like, products. So I have, like, a dozen t-shirts.
Wow.
But, with all of this writing and the thing.
Oh.
And they sold really well.
Wow.
And so that's when I made a decision to take a sewing class so I can get back to clothes.
Got it.
And stop doing the t-shirts or do the t-shirts in addition to clothes.
Got it. All right, B. So let's talk a little bit about your process. All your pieces are upcycled, but you're at a point now that 100%
100%.
of your pieces are donated.
That's it.
That's amazing. So you are not out at the thrift shops. You're not shopping at all
I'm
anymore.
not shopping at all. As sad as that is, that definitely my carbon footprint is probably negative now.
Oh wow.
So it's good for the business and the brand, but
Right.
a perk of this was shopping. So
Yeah.
it does
Because it's fun.
Right.
Shopping is fun, but I mean, when you're running a business, you're running not just, because you already have your business, which is Born Again Vintage,
Right.
but you also have a boutique where we are now,
Right.
which is 2 separate businesses.
2 separate businesses.
Yeah, so trying to do that and find time to go out to the thrift shops and shop, it's just unrealistic, I guess.
And not only that, it's the whole point that I'm pushing and spreading through classes and workshops is not to stop shopping needlessly. So though I was shopping to make stuff, if I have stuff, why would I go shop for it if I have stuff?
Got it.
So it was really just staying true to what the brand is really about. So to get into a place where shopping is not even a part of the
it.
equation.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. So when things are donated to you, how are you deciding what pieces to upcycle and not continue to donate it to the thrift shop or to the Goodwill? Like, I can't use this.
Yeah.
How are you deciding what to actually upcycle, and what is your design process? What's your inspiration?
Well, even starting back from the talent shows, I'm definitely attracted to texture, prints.
Okay.
So texture and prints, patterns, I'm immediately gravitated towards. So, you know, the thing with donations, you know, usually they're conservative pieces. So, you know, that has been, you know, a challenge for me. But then I have 2 people that donate on the regular that know my aesthetic.
Got it.
So the whole bag will be
wow.
prints and yeah, and just like, oh my God type of stuff.
Wonderful.
So, you know, some of it, you know, that stuff gets pulled because I know I'm going to cut it. Then there's the stuff that I know that I'm not going to do anything with.
Okay. What happens to those pieces?
Those pieces get either donated, 2 things happen. They get donated to, I'm affiliated with Urban League, and they have a thrift shop, so I give it to them. Or, you know, it's something I keep and I wear.
Okay.
Or it's for a workshop, like for my FIT class or whatever.
So you can donate it to your students.
Right.
Got it.
So either way, they get used. And so that's how what I do with the pieces that I don't use. As far as the process, it goes usually 1 or 2 ways. Something I see that I'm so excited about that's like so bad that I have to cut it instantly.
And you know, I'm looking at this piece over here. I can imagine, like, so cute.
She's so cute.
So cute.
So, you know, she's just pinned. She's not sewn.
It just reminds me of, because obviously I have a 1-year-old, so I'm watching a lot of Mickey Mouse and Minnie and her bows.
Right. And just the texture on that, I mean, it's just like awesome.
So awesome.
And then, you know, attaching it with the print from a dress is how I came up with this cute little crop. But this is something, this sweater I've had forever.
Okay.
It's just, you know, and I just got the dress last week.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as I saw the dress, I mean, even though this is old, it's just something that you know.
Yeah.
You probably, I don't know.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
have
I
that.
do. I see something in a thrift store and I know exactly what type of bag. Oh, that's going to be a messenger bag.
So I knew, you know, instantly that these 2 pieces would, so I found the piece, put them together, and lo and behold, they did match perfectly.
Yeah.
And I immediately start cutting. And, you know, thankfully, I'm at the point where I stole 2 of my FIT students.
Okay. As like interns?
No, employees.
Okay.
So
nice.
So then now, you know, I do all the cutting and pinning, and then I pass it off.
And they do the sewing.
And they do the sewing.
Wow.
So, which is it's for me.
That is awesome. And awesome for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's the process if it's something that immediately gets my juices flowing.
Okay.
If it's something that I like and I just really don't know what to do with, it sits forever.
Okay.
You know,
Same.
until I find
until you get inspired.
Right.
Yeah. Are there things specifically that do inspire you? Is it art? Do you go to museums on a regular basis? Do you thumb through high-end fashion magazines? Like, what kind of keeps you? Because your look is very specific. Mm-hmm. I think I know a born again vintage piece when I see it. You know, it's avant-garde but still very wearable.
Right.
You know, it's colorful. There's a lot of texture. It's a lot of fun to wear, and so, you know, you stay edgy.
Right.
How so?
Well, you know, it's something I didn't think about until I was having one of my classes, and the students, because how the class is set up, let's say I have 15 students, I go 1 by 1 to each student, have them put all their stuff on the table, and then I'll give them 3 ideas off the top of my head.
Okay.
And, you know, and then they have time to simmer while I go to the next person and the next person. So I got to the end, you know, so now we're talking about 3 ideas, 15 people, that's 45 ideas.
Wow.
So one of the students was like, how do you know, how does
that work? All these ideas.
And so, you know, I never thought about it until then, you know.
So just so our listeners know, we're talking about you teaching at FIT.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So, you know, until she brought that to my attention, I was like, wow, yeah, it is a different idea. But, you know, now, because I've been doing it so long, I don't see, just like, you know, as soon as you walked in here, I was like, oh, I would cut that.
Yes.
You know, as soon as I saw it, you know, so I don't see it as a sweater. I see it as what else it could be.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't see.
It comes easy
Yeah.
because we've been doing it so long.
True.
So it's just
True.
very natural now.
Got
so it's
it.
not even like, okay, so what could I do?
Yeah,
know,
you
it's
can't
like-
even teach that.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
It's kind
Yeah,
of
it becomes like a muscle that
Right.
you train.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But definitely get stomped. I definitely have creative blocks and all of that.
And I definitely have pieces that just sit for
Right.
even a couple
It
years.
never get done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. Me
Yeah.
too. But I would say what always inspires me is the sale.
Okay. That'll do it.
When someone comes in and they're going crazy over a piece and
Yeah.
they're like, oh my God, I can't. And it's just like that feeling or that
Yes.
energy from
it gets
that.
you high.
It gets you high. And then it's
Yeah.
like, let me see what else I could cut up today. The next thing you know, I'm making something else. But, if I don't have that, it's really, just like we said this morning, not forced, but, either I have to make product because I need it for the store
Right.
or for a fashion show or for, so
It has a use
Right,
always.
right.
Yeah.
So.
That makes sense. Yeah, when you have some place or some reason to create,
Right.
it keeps you creating.
It keeps you creative.
Yeah. Interesting. So teaching, because besides the FIT, you're now teaching abroad occasionally.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, this is it's IFA Paris. It's
IFA Paris.
right,
That's a
which
school.
is International Fashion Academy.
Okay.
So I think we connected maybe 2 years ago via LinkedIn.
Wow.
Is it LinkedIn? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure though it was LinkedIn. And
That's how we met.
That's how we met. And so they proposed the idea, and it took a while to get the logistics right. So it worked for for everybody involved. So the class last year didn't happen because I think it was like 2 students short or whatever
for enrollment.
So to balance that out, I became a tutor.
Okay.
So I tutored someone at the academy who did a thesis on upcycling in Brazil
Wow.
or South America.
So you tutored from here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was all online.
Nice.
And actually, I just got the copy of it because she has to submit it next week. So, so that was I still had to, got to be on board with IFA Paris through the tutoring.
Right.
And it, once this whole thesis is out, I mean, the information she found, is mind-blowing.
Really?
And the lack of knowledge elsewhere. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But, so I did that, and then we're still trying to do that class for July of this year.
Okay.
So that class is still open. And the cool thing about that, well, one, it's in Paris.
Right. Yeah, that's cool
But
enough.
with 2, it's set up where, I take them thrifting.
Yeah.
And so thrifting in Paris, where I get to
I'm
tell
so
you
jealous.
what works.
Yes.
It's just like, that's like amazing to
Yes,
me.
yes.
And what an opportunity. So
You already though have the opportunity to take students thrifting in New York City,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
probably second to Paris.
Yeah. I definitely did thrifting trips. And even with my FIT class, I had bus trips to the store when I had the store in Montclair. So, I've always done it, but, thrifting in Paris just sounds amazing.
Next level. Yeah,
You
that's
know.
next level. Absolutely.
But yeah, so teaching at FIT came from the book, because that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the book. And now I have 3 classes with them, all self-created.
Wow.
And
wow, you teach 3 classes.
we continuing ed classes
Wow.
at FIT. Yeah.
Wow.
And they all literally, as of last year, now they are part of the sustainable certificate. So you have to take.
Your class
You
to
have
get
to take it.
certified in
So
sustainability.
that's awesome.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So this is, great example for a sweatshirt that you have that, maybe you love the color or you love maybe the graphics on it. You don't want to get rid of it.
Or maybe it feels comfortable, feels great,
Right.
but you're over it.
So we're, trying to give you the option instead of, throwing it out, that you could just upcycle it and create something new.
Because the unfortunate truth is so much of our clothes going to the landfill,
That's
and
right.
it's becoming a major problem.
That's right. It's definitely a major problem. I think we're up to 80 pounds per person annually.
Yeah.
Is what we throw out.
Which is sick.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
80 pounds. That's like a
Per
child.
person.
Per person.
Yeah.
And
no, that's a big child. That's a teenager.
Yeah. And New York, I think, is, maybe 26 million tons per year for New Yorkers. So we got to work on that, people.
Yes, we must.
So what I'm going to do, and I'm doing something that I feel is relatively easy.
Okay.
For a beginner, and I'm doing it so, setting it up so it can be hand sewn, because what number one excuse for people is
I can't sew.
hand sew.
Yeah.
So we make it so that's not an excuse.
Not an excuse.
So, if we were doing this, like I say, in my class, or, we would use some chalk.
Okay.
And we would, do the chalk line so you know how to cut evenly. And then you would fold over and then do the same for the other.
Right, so that
Now-
they're exactly identical.
So because
Freestyle.
I'm freestyling, I know I'm creating pretty much like a halter type of neck. So
You're simply just cutting off the sleeve and it's diagonal.
Right. And I'm leaving enough so that we can finish that if we want. Because sometimes the raw edge is kind of cool with sweatshirts.
Yeah, totally.
So that's really up to you.
Okay,
So we're going to fold it over, match it up,
perfect.
and then we're going to do the same for this side.
To make sure that they are even.
Right. And I know I got my baby scissors, but they're very sharp.
No, I have it here just like that.
Yeah.
Super sharp. Yeah.
Real quick. Okay. So now we have,
And of course, these sleeves are not going in the trash because they will find a home.
well, the sleeves are now going to become the neck.
Oh,
So that's what we're going to do.
okay.
So what we're going to do is, now what we would do normally is attach the sleeves. Okay, so once these pieces were attached or sewn together,
So you want to attach it on both sides?
attach it on both sides.
Okay.
We're just measuring to see how much of this that we need.
Okay.
Starting from this, taking this as the middle and lining it up with the label, so we know that's the middle. And then we're just going around the neckline just to see how
Oh, that's gonna be
much of this
cute.
we need.
I love a good cowl neck.
Yes, a lot. Something
Mm-hmm.
else.
It's so flattering to the face.
Right.
It really is.
So we know that it's going to fit the neckline, so we're happy with that. And we actually have some excess. Okay.
Do we want it to overlap?
You know what? I was going to do a little something extra, so you know what? I think I have the space to do it.
Okay.
So I'm going to cut off this because we don't need it. And cut off this because we don't need it.
So how much do you want it to overlap? Maybe an inch or two?
Yeah, just maybe an inch or two, enough to sew together. And
Okay.
then still have the space to fit in the neck.
Got it.
Okay, so we would attach this,
So cute.
and that would become your new cowl neck. And then what I wanted to do something different. Was now we can use these
The cuffs.
as cuffs, or I was saying pockets. So what
So we're taking the cuffs,
We're
and the
taking the
cuffs
cuffs.
are going to become pockets?
going to become pockets.
I
Now,
cannot.
we're going to open up the seam. We're going to open up the seam. You would usually use a seam ripper, but
Yeah.
by demonstration only.
Mm-hmm. And so we did that maybe 2 inches up from the hem.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe about 3.
Maybe 3 inches. Okay.
Right. So then,
Oh,
literally,
genius.
we're putting this in.
I cannot deal. Who would have thought of that?
This is what we call zero waste. So
Yes, nothing is being
absolutely going to
wasted.
waste. And we would cut this based on how much you have so that it fits perfectly. And literally all we would do,
I'm stunned right now. We gave this thing pockets.
gave it pockets. And you know, normally I would have an amazing graphic tee. And I would, you know, do something dead center.
Got it.
But, you know, I wanted to keep it plain for people that, you know, don't like to be over the top like me.
Or me.
Just in case. I don't want to throw you off. And then the same goes here, put it in here. So meanwhile, you would, of course, stitch this.
Yes. So that when you put things in your pocket, they actually stay in.
They actually don't fall out on the
Right,
other
that's
side.
important.
And measure that
Pin it,
perfectly.
sew it.
Pin it, sew it.
Wow.
And like I said, for the sleeves, I love big armholes. So I mean, I would keep it as is, but maybe, you know, for you guys, you want to fold it over, maybe even gather it so it's not so much
Instead of the raw edge.
instead of the raw edge.
Okay.
But then, you know, you've got little trims that you could just
Put along the
put
hem.
around here if you
Oh
want
my
it.
goodness.
Put at the sleeves if you want it.
Yes.
If you want it, or you could create, like I said, some type of faux front that I always love doing.
Just like a ruffle effect,
Right.
right in the
And
center.
then you could do buttons going down.
Oh my
I mean, the
goodness.
possibilities
Are limitless.
But you know, when I turn
Wow.
it this way, so you guys can see that you just immediately made this high, oversized collar. Super cute with pockets.
Super cute.
All by hand sewing.
All by hand sewing.
No sewing machine.
Right, needle and thread.
And you saved this poor sweatshirt
Right, from the
that was
landfill.
about to die and get thrown out. And now she has new, and she's cute.
Super cute.
She's super cute. I
Right.
can just see the shoulders now, just standing out in this with your pockets, with the high collar. Like I said, and then I even have studs.
What would you do with the studs?
See, with the studs, I probably would.
I know what I would do. I would go along that armhole
Yeah.
with the studs. You too?
Yeah, that's
Oh
what I would
my
do.
gosh.
So imagine
Oh my
just
goodness.
doing. I would have done that, or even around the pocket, maybe.
Ooh.
Just so people know, like, oh, it has pockets.
Yeah.
Because you know, people love when something has pockets.
Yes. I
So-
never thought about how simple it is to add a pocket.
Oh yeah, just cut the seam up, and
Never crossed my mind.
I love it.
Oh, this is amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Bridgett Artise.
Thank you.